Clean models, hidden costs. You sit in a meeting staring at a dashboard that's all green, but your inbox is full of escalations, rework, and quick approvals that keep landing on the same few people. The numbers look settled. The work feels like it's leaking somewhere. When a model is made too clean to argue with, it doesn't become more true, it becomes more authoritative. The tidy chart, the single score, the simplified funnel, these don't just describe reality, they set the terms of conversation. And once the terms are set, anything that doesn't fit the model stops counting as evidence. In that moment, measurement stops being a tool for understanding and becomes a tool for ending debate. The impact is predictable. Legibility is gained, fidelity is lost, and the leftover risk is moved to the edges where fewer people can see it and fewer people are empowered to refuse it. Clean models solve a real constraint: limited time. In a week packed with updates, notifications, checklists, and approvals, organizations need fast summaries. A clean metric is portable. It travels across teams, fits on slides, and survives handoffs. It offers a trade-off: less nuance in exchange for speed and alignment. But speed creates incentives. If performance reviews, budgets, or status depend on a number, people will optimize toward what the number recognizes. That's not a character flaw, it's a feedback loop. The metric becomes a target, then the target reshapes behavior, and the reshaped behavior confirms the metric. The model looks even cleaner because the system has been trained to produce cleaner inputs. Who benefits? Leaders benefit from comparability. One team can be ranked against another. Managers benefit from defensible decisions. The dashboard says so, reduces conflict. Analysts benefit from coherence. Fewer exceptions mean fewer arguments about methodology. The organization benefits from coordination when work is simple and stable. Who bears the cost? The cost lands on the people and situations that don't fit. Edge cases become noise. Complex users become outliers. Work that is hard to quantify. Mentoring, careful review, preventing incidents, rebuilding trust after a mistake gets treated as overhead. The person doing that work may still be thanked, but they are not measured, and what is not measured is easy to cut. To keep models clean, systems often add a second constraint. They narrow the inputs. Only what can be captured consistently is allowed in. The intake form becomes the boundary of reality. If the form has 3 fields, then the world has 3 fields. Anything else is pushed into comments, and comments are the first thing dropped when time is tight. That's where tail risk grows. The rare failure, the compounding harm, the slow erosion of quality, these are often inconvenient for the model because they are irregular and hard to attribute. So the system relocates them from the center of discussion to the margins of responsibility. An incident becomes unexpected. A complaint becomes anecdotal. A pattern becomes not statistically significant. Clean models can be correct on average while being cruel at the edges. And once the model is hard to argue with, agency changes. The person closest to the work may see the gap, but the gap has no official container. The only sanctioned speech is the metric. Everything else sounds like excuses. This is not a technical problem alone. It is a dignity problem. Dignity requires that a person's experience can count as real, even when it is inconvenient to summarize. When a system only recognizes what is easy to aggregate, it quietly teaches people which parts of themselves are acceptable. Be predictable, be measurable, be average. Agency also shifts. A clean model can make it feel like decisions are inevitable, as if the dashboard is making the choice. But dashboards don't carry consequences. People do. When the model becomes the final word, responsibility gets redistributed in a particular way. Decision makers gain cover, while those downstream inherit the unmeasured fallout. Extra hours, reputational risk, customer anger, safety exposure, moral injury from being required to ignore what they can clearly see. Attention is the hinge. What the model highlights becomes what teams watch. What teams watch becomes what they protect. Over time, the system's care becomes the shape of its measurement. Name the cost, not just the benefit. Notice the moments when conversation ends with the numbers are clear, especially when the lived experience in the room is not. Consider which kinds of work routinely appear only as interruptions, escalations, exceptions, one-offs, the human follow-up after a clean handoff fails. Name what gets trimmed away to keep the model legible, whose context is excluded, whose consent is assumed, whose labor becomes invisible maintenance. And notice, too, where you feel pressure to translate reality into whatever the dashboard can accept. That pressure is information. It points to the boundary where the system's understanding stops. and where people start absorbing the externality. A clean model can help us move, but it can also teach us not to see. Responsibility begins quietly, without blame, when we remember that whatever the dashboard can't hold still lands somewhere.